Dillon Brooks has become one of the most hated players in the entire NBA. All the things you're supposed to do on the basketball court, he does the exact opposite. I'm not even talking about his ridiculous flops and questionable shot selection. I'm talking about his supervillain antics like taunting opponents, picking fights with virtually anyone in the league, and even attacking all-time legends in interviews.
Say maybe you shouldn't do that with one of the better players in the game. What were you thinking?
I don't care, he's old.
He's clashed with everyone you can think of. Elite-level players, bench warmers, coaches, spectators, and even a cameraman. His outrageous behavior on and off the court definitely raises eyebrows and makes us question whether Dillon is actually a valuable asset to an NBA team or just a huge troll. But surprisingly, Dillon is enhancing his gameplay and contributing to his team's success. He played a pivotal role in the Grizzlies' playoff run just last season, and although he was initially praised for his defensive skills, he has now taken on a new leadership role for a young team in Houston. He is not only contributing to winning basketball, but he's bringing that contagious energy that fueled the Grizzlies for years. Dillon Brooks simply doesn't care what you think. He's too busy breaking basketball. His aura, energy, and confidence is his identity. Just listen to what he had to say about his matchup with LeBron just last week.
Ready to lock him up.
Now let's backtrack to where his villain mentality really started, which was his early playing days in college at the University of Oregon. His time with the Ducks was the origin story of him breaking basketball. His energy and swag was contagious, and it started with the most ridiculously blatant flop you might ever see. And let's also not forget when he got ejected for literally kicking this Washington State player in the nuts. Or the time he made national news clashing with a teammate during practice. While his antics are so ridiculous, they all contribute to his master plan. Despite the tomfoolery, he made tremendous impacts on the basketball court. Brooks is known for diving for loose balls, playing aggressive defense, and being an absolute pest to his matchup. He became the Pac-12 Conference Player of the Year and an All-American in his final college season. He even led Oregon to a Final Four berth in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1939. It is clear as day that Brooks' tenacious playstyle and energy helps lead to winning basketball, and the NBA scouts noticed. Dillon was drafted 45th overall, funny enough, to his current team, the Houston Rockets, in the 2017 NBA Draft. However, he was a Rocket for about an hour because he was traded on draft night to the Grizzlies for a second-round draft pick in the 2018 Draft. And as soon as Dillon got drafted, his impact was noticed, and it was breaking basketball. It didn't take long for Dillon to bring his villain arc to the NBA, and he started off pretty hot, going at one of the NBA's best shooting guards, Donovan Mitchell. It started when Dillon made a routine drive to the basketball and failed to make the layup on Mitchell. He responded to the miss by taking a cheap shot at Mitchell, one that looked merely similar to the one he made in college. This time, instead of a kick to the groin, it was a punch to the groin, and it led to one of the biggest fights the league saw that year. After the Mitchell incident, the villain arc for Dillon Brooks was officially established in the NBA, and his villain-like narrative was only growing more and more. It felt like night in and night out, Dillon was just battling over who he can pick the biggest fight with. However, the next battle he got himself into was a scorching hot one. It was no other than one of the greatest loudmouths in the NBA, Draymond Green. Things got chippy with them right from the start, going at it with each other after a simple inbounds play. And this back and forth kept going for the entirety of the game. Dillon started with some very bold comments post-game, making fun of Draymond's podcast.
What was the message that you had to Draymond?
I told him that, keep that mic. He's better at the mic than hooping. You know what I'm saying? So keep doing his podcast, keep blogging, keep doing his thing off the court. It's cute, it's fun for him.
And we sure do know a legendary trash talker like Draymond Green wouldn't let that stand. Just watch how he responded to Dillon Brooks' post-game comments with an absolute roast of Dillon Brooks on his podcast.
If you ever wondered why the Memphis Grizzlies is not ready to compete for a championship, look no further than this idiot right here. They're actually depending on this guy to help them win a championship. And he says his game is cool. Quite frankly, that just shows how little you know about basketball.
Now, we thought that punching an all-star in the groin and chirping the king of loudmouthing was crazy. Well, it somehow gets worse. How about shoving over a cameraman in the middle of a game? During a game against the Miami Heat, Brooks was involved in another incident with a television cameraman. As he attempted to retrieve a ball rolling away on the wing, he deliberately pushed the cameraman even though he had already stopped. Dillon ended up getting fined $35,000 from this, and it's just one of a countless amount of fines Dillon has picked up from ejections. So we thought Dillon would stop at NBA players, and even an innocent cameraman. But how about starting beef with opposing fans? In a matchup between the Lakers and Grizzlies earlier this year, NFL Hall of Famer, now ESPN analyst, Shannon Shape was in attendance, and we all know why. Shannon was supporting his favorite NBA player, someone who he glorifies profusely, LeBron James. Now, having a big personality like Sharp in attendance and Dillon Brooks playing against them, we had a feeling this could get ugly, right? Well, it sure did. Sharp got in an insane altercation with Brooks and the rest of the Grizzlies players in the middle of the game. And Dillon's response to all this? It sure caused a lot of controversy. He called the former NFL Hall of Famer and ESPN analyst a blogger and a regular pedestrian. And the most known instance of the Dillon Brooks villain arc was when he took distinct shots at arguably the greatest player of all time. Not just in the playoffs last season, but even just last week in their first matchup of the new season. I know a lot of us remember when Dillon called LeBron old and that he pokes bears, and followed up his talk by saying he won't respect LeBron until he gives him 40. Well, we all know how that ended for Dillon. It didn't affect the King one bit, as he and the Lakers sent the Grizzlies packing in a comfortable 6 games. The amazing part is, you would think Dillon would learn his lesson, right? But Dillon did not quit going at the King. Even the Grizzlies openly telling the media that they won't re-sign him, and fans on Twitter saying he should sign with the Shanghai Sharks, Dillon was completely unfazed. Dillon was ready for part 2. He promised to lock up the King this time around, and it led to a massive 128-94 victory in the Rockets' favor. Dillon Brooks may seem absolutely diabolical, but there truly is a method to the madness. He has realized that defying expectations and playing this villain character is breaking basketball and can be the key to his personal and team success. Do you think that Dillon Brooks is an intricate asset to an NBA team, or is he just this generation's NBA troll? Let us know in the comments below.